What is up? What is up, Whale family, and welcome to Blockchain Beats, where we explore the pioneering artists taking audio and music to the next level of emerging tech and interactivity with NFTs. Our very special guest today is Connie Digital, a true pioneer of NFT music and social tokens, multifaceted lyricist and Web3 content creator who continues to blaze pathways unlocking the future of this movement. Connie, super hyped to have you with us today, man.
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, listen, I am so looking forward to this conversation because, obviously talking about audio NFTs, you are a true pioneer who really paved the way for everyone trying to do it right now. And there's so much I'd like to talk about, but really just real quick. So, just to set the playing field here, two goals of mine. Number one, as you know, Whale, we onboard a ton of new people to the space, whether it's creators and artists, as well as people that are just looking to get involved and collect. And I really think that people want to understand and know the history on really the foundation of this whole movement and who did what. So from an education perspective, just pumped to have you here, but also for people looking to get involved with their audio or looking to collect, there's no one that could drop more knowledge than you really with regards to this. So I look forward to getting to that part of the conversation where you could really school us, me, and everyone else here with everything that you've experimented with. So as you can tell by my ramble, hyped to have you here.
Pleasure. Thank you, man. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to the show.
Yeah, so real quick, like I said, we have a lot of brand new people to the space in Whale. Could you just give us a brief, succinct kind of little background on who is Connie Digital?
Oh man, Connie Digital. It's me, man. Connie Digital is Web3. I am a content creator, like you said. I do writing in the space. I've been writing for crypto publications since 2014. I'm also an artist, a visual artist, as well as a musician. So I tokenize my works on the Ethereum blockchain currently. Yeah, man, been in crypto since 2013, actually, just grinding it out. And yeah, man, anything Web3, I'm all about it. Sort of like a Web3 geek here. Metaverse, DeFi, NFTs, all the buzzwords. So yeah, that's digital.
Hard to encapsulate, right? Like just even preparing to talk to you is a lot to know we're about to cover. So hopefully you can have some patience with me because I definitely have a lot of questions. But for people in the audience that might not be familiar with you and kind of your journey to where you are today, could you just tell us a little bit about your background? As I understand it, you're from Jersey or spent a lot of time from Jersey, down in Jersey?
Yeah, man, I'm from Jersey.
Okay.
What would be considered the Jersey Shore, but nothing like what you see on the MTV television show. So yeah, but I'm definitely from Jersey, born and raised.
Okay. Cool. You can definitely tell the East Coast boom bap and your style and some of the stuff that you can hear in your music. Actually spent a lot of time in North Jersey myself, so familiar with some of the music scene that had been going on there throughout the years. And my jaunts to the Jersey Shore are a little bit incriminating, so I won't talk about them too much, but did spend some time in Seaside and in Wildwood, doing some stuff I'd rather not speak about. You talked about being so involved in Web3 and a lot of different aspects, both in NFT and in crypto. Do you have a tech inclination from a youth, or did you have an education in this field?
Not particularly. I've just always, I guess, been drawn to technology. I remember when I was a child, my father he'd given me a magazine subscription to Popular Mechanics. And so that's like a heavy tech-based magazine and a lot of futuristic concepts and designs and things like that. I never actually read the magazine, which is kind of funny, but I just enjoyed the pictures, the visual aesthetic representation of what was going on. And yeah, man, I've always, I guess, embraced technology. And yeah, I started building websites. I could code a little bit here and there, but I've never actually gone to school for any of this as far as the tech side. Just kind of hands-on learning when and where I can. So
very cool. And you do a lot of your, or if not all of your artwork for the most part as well, right? So do you have a traditional background in art or a time period where you were doing art prior to music?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always been an artist since a child. I think everyone is actually born as an artist, and we're kind of brought up that way. I think a lot of us, like with crayons and coloring books and drawing and things like that. And then over time, the system, society, school kind of uh, makes us more left brain, I would say, versus right brain, and the creative expression aspect is kind of lost a little bit as we get older. But yeah, man, I got into fashion. I had my own t-shirt line. In high school, I used to sell to students. I used to sell out the barbershop, design stuff for a local minor league baseball team, sports teams at the school, all types of stuff. I actually, after school, I went to study menswear design, actually, which didn't last very long. But yeah, so I have a background in art/fashion. So
Very cool. And did that always coincide with your passion for music, or did that evolve at a later time?
no, like, growing up, music, I guess, was always just a part of day-to-day life, right? And I just remember in middle school, having friends, and after school we would always like write rhymes and try to record them. We had like these little stick mics, like totally like terrible equipment to try to record any type of music. But I mean, we were having fun, and I remember everybody just kind of wanted to be a rapper. Even like, back in high school, there was a thing called Freestyle Friday. Anybody who watches or used to watch BET 106 in Park, every Friday they would have like a freestyle competition, and we kind of did that at school. And so music was always there. And what happened was, when I was studying for menswear, I ended up spending more time writing and recording music with my friends than I was actually doing designing clothing. So that's kind of how that happened.
I definitely remember those days, getting up on the lunchroom tables and, coming up with some that you wrote with your buddies and then coming in trying to battle. So, definitely
Mhm.
can see a call to that in the aesthetic of some of the stuff that you do. I could be wrong, but it seems like hints of, the 80s and 90s sprinkled in there, especially with homage to, cassette tapes and things of that nature. I have a young son. He saw a cassette tape and asked me if it was a truck because of the inside looked like spokes of wheels to him. Is that true? Is that part of your aesthetic and what you try to
Yeah.
call to with your art?
Yeah, that story is so cool. And it's just something about the design of the cassette tape that really resonates with me. And in the same way your son saw a truck, I see all types of things. Like what you have on the screen here now is just one representation of a cassette tape. But I really approach these tapes as like just very unique pieces. They can be any and everything. I think it's just the form factor of the cassette. There's something about it that just resonates with me, and all the varieties of making what I consider like mixed tapes, right? Minus the audio aspect. I'm just mixing different versions of what a cassette could be. And yeah, man, I love retro tech. Floppy disks, Rubik's cubes, like old Macintoshes, like, just remnants of the past. Something to kind of anchor me as we move into like this completely digital, virtual sort of new world. Just having those pieces of my past that I could hold on to is just very special to me. So
Very cool, and you can definitely see that in the work that you create. Back to the music, you were freestyling, you were doing stuff with your friends as well. You obviously started to record at some point. I think I read that you were around 18 when that process began, and more formal recordings. Who were some of your early influences that helped shape your style of music?
yeah, I enjoy listening to Fabulous. So anybody who knows like 90s 2000 hip hop most likely knows Fabulous, who's a Brooklyn, New York rapper. And man, there was just something about his flow and the way he put his punchlines together, and the way he just his bars, and even the aesthetic, like the throwback jerseys at the time and the bandanas, and Dipset inspired me. Lil Wayne, also a big Bob Marley fan. So yeah, I like all types of music, and I think I've been influenced by a lot of different sounds, whether it's East Coast, down south, and maybe even some reggae. So
Very cool. Yeah, and that's I would think, in my experience, is pretty indicative of most supremely creative people. Is they're very eclectic in their taste and pull something that they love from everything. Whenever someone tells me they only like one specific genre, a light bulb goes off that we may have a little bit of blinders and be in a silo there. That being said, when you were recording and you were active in music, were you trying to push things locally, or were you just doing it for yourself to kind of archive and be able to create?
yeah, I think it was a combination of both. Definitely in the early days when I was 18, 19, 20, things like that. didn't necessarily have a focus on how to break through or market or try to figure out the lane and how to get noticed. I guess me and my friends were really doing it for the passion and the joy of doing it. Like, just the first time you hear yourself back on a record is just addicting. It's something about that creative process, and then hearing it back that you kind of fall in love with. And yeah, man, I had another friend here. We were like a duo, and we press up some CDs. We would hit the boardwalk, try to sell a couple of those through some stuff on SoundCloud and things like that in the early days. Nothing really happened though, but that didn't stop me from creating. So just embracing the passion of it all.
Very cool. Just to give people a frame of reference, I pulled up a track here that's predating some of your NFT stuff. Doesn't go as far back as, I'm sure when you were initially doing stuff, but love to give the audience a listen to Swear to God.
Gender's the agenda, the girl boy mix blender. His name is Bobby, her name is Brenda. Her father won't forgive her. His pastor said that he's a sinner, and right now the enemy is looking like the winner. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Futuristic politicians politicking, we stay optimistic. Apocalyptic, yeah, the veil is lifted, world is shifted. We on the mission, outside the system. Decide to listen, we can change conditions. Where's the common sense? Yeah, fuck your politics. Yeah, that's a pile of shit. Yeah, bullshit. I just saw somebody gunned down online. We gon' protest till sundown. On time, so desensitized. This shit is genocide. This shit is televised. My people terrorized. We feeling paralyzed. We cannot compromise. This is our land. We stand, we sacrifice. She said, I noticed something different. I can feel it in my spirit. I can hear it in the lyrics when he spit it. It's something about the vision he's been given. It's something about the way that he deliver. Man, it's just something about this nigga. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in. Yeah. Don't you swear to God unless you mean it, cause honestly your honesty is all that we believe in.
Super dope. And
Hey.
dope to see the the leanings already, all the seeds were already planted for the transition to what was going to happen in the digital world here, right? You were always in it. It was always a part of your persona and embedded in what you do. So it made sense as this evolved as a technology, as an opportunity, as a platform, that you would be here and be here in a big way.
Thank you.
So props. And so you're active in creating the visual art. I think prior to you publishing your music on the blockchain as well, right? And then you got involved in social tokens, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you're doing all this creative stuff. How would you characterize your creative voice?
That's a really good question. Because I do a lot of different stuff, from the writing to the art to the music. But really, what I'm trying to do is inspire and teach. And as I figure things out with this technology, being able to convey that and show people what's possible, so they can do something similar or even greater, right? Just kind of plant some seeds in people's head. But like, my message in the artwork specifically is like around music with the cassette tapes and stuff like that. But when it comes to my message in the lyrics, definitely uh, political. There's messages in there about simulation theory, the matrix, just this digital world that we're entering into, the pros and cons of that, the double-edged sword, the gift and the curse of a blockchain technology, even where it might be all roses on one end, but there's also another side of it that, if in the wrong hands, could be completely enslaving. And so my message kind of deals with a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that really stood out to me in both, your writings, your other interviews, and even in your art and the way it comes across, at least to my interpretation, because I guess it's all subjective, right? Is to talk about this duality, this dichotomy of the opportunity and what it presents with this digital world that we're in, as well as the pitfalls and some of the negatives, and trying to kind of find our way through that, right? And not be too overzealous, but yet, not be missing the bus as well. And I just really enjoyed that introspective perspective on it.
Dope. Thank you. It feels good to actually get that feedback. Yeah, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
So obviously you were involved in crypto early, right? 2013 or so. You became a writer, and you were working on, with various publications, educating the masses and bringing that to the people as well. And then your first exposure to NFTs in particular was CryptoKitties. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. 2017.
Okay.
I still have some Gen 0 CryptoKitties. Yep.
Okay. Very cool. And then you were writing for Cent, and is that where you really built the community that you have, your core group of followers?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was writing for Cent per se, in the fact that it's not like
Right.
news publication. It was more of a social media platform. At least back then, it went through an upgrade, a version 2 iteration. But before version 2 and version 1, yeah, that's kind of where I built my early following. All Web3, I would say Web3 native, people just trying to learn and figure everything out. And because Cent was a crypto specific social network, I figured, that was the best place to build the audience.
Right. And then talk me through the progression here in the timeline, because you had so much going on. I just want to make sure I'm mapping this correctly. So, at one point you decided to launch your own social token, Hue. Were you minting NFTs prior to that, or did that come first?
Yeah, I was minting NFTs prior to the social token.
Okay.
In fact, in 2018, I was doing stuff on the Wax blockchain. Actually, before it went live, I forget how they rolled it out necessarily, but I was making stickers as NFTs on the Wax blockchain in 2018. In 2019, I got into the crypto art wave and started tokenizing, works on Known Origin and Super Rare and a couple other platforms. And then the social token came later in 2019. I think it was created in August, and then I kind of started rolling it out in September on Cent specifically. So.
Okay. Yeah, and you're involved in a lot of firsts here, and a lot of them also, you had personal connections with a lot of the people that were establishing these platforms, right? Like I think the CEO of Roll, the people at Async, perhaps even Wax, that was involved too. So you're like, in real life and in the digital form, you were everywhere.
Yeah, shout out to Matthew, who is at Nifty Gateway, who was at Cent. He actually reached out and gifted me a ticket to NFT NYC in 2020. Yeah, last year, February last year, which was a conference specifically for NFTs in New York City. And shout out to him, man, because I was fortunate enough to not only meet himself, but I met Rizzle, who works at NFT 42 and the Token Smart brand. I met Jim from Avastars and NFT 42 as well. Sid from Roll was there. Like you said, the Async guys, Colin, shout out to No Shot as well. Yeah, just a ton of people. I met some crypto artists there, Josie, Giselle X. I met Johan from Marble Card. So it was a really great experience. I'm happy I was able to go. And yeah, I'm still nurturing those relationships to this day. So
super dope. So you launch Hue. At the time, how many social token communities are there?
Oh, at the time, so I think I might have been the fourth or fifth token that the Roll team minted on their platform, but definitely the first to get some traction going.
Right, right. And so you launch Hue, and at the time there isn't a roadmap as to how to leverage this and how to really utilize it, as people are trying to today, right? Even at this point in time, people are still trying to experiment and do some different things with varied success. But you were really at the onset. There was no roadmap, right? So what's your thought process going into this, and why you're doing it?
Yeah, definitely no roadmap. But at the time, like I said, I was using Scent, and it there was just like this creative energy on Scent. And when I rolled out Hue, I basically used it or branded it as a loyalty point, a reward token, similar to like a airline miles or like a loyalty program you would see at a coffee shop or something like that, where you perform certain actions and you get the token as a reward for taking those particular actions, whether that be retweeting a tweet of mine or subscribing to my newsletter or whatever action I kind of deemed valuable at the time. And so I was just finding different creative ways to distribute the token, right? Because in doing so, I figured I would make some noise, I would turn some heads, get some attention, distributing this token and finding new fascinating ways to do that. And so one of the first ways I did distribute the token was dropping some of it inside of Crypto Voxels, which is also like a new emerging platform. I mean, it still is at this point, super early, but so I dropped some tokens in this virtual world where people can come in through their browser, claim the tokens, and then immediately use those tokens to redeem a shout out on this wall that I built inside my Crypto Voxels parcel. So it was kind of like the first sort of like aha, like real world or virtual world use case where, okay, go check out what I have going on in my virtual world, earn some Hue for doing so. Then you can use that Hue and I'll put your name up on the shout out wall and it will live there forever. I tokenized that as an NFT. I took like a screenshot of the shout out wall. And Koch, I think it's Kachi. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He actually owns that NFT currently. His name is on the shout out wall, as well as like, I think 40 other people who actually participated. So pretty cool.
Very dope. So one of the first utilizations for the social token to really incentivize people to do something actionable, right? And then in September of 2019, you actually had it integrated into OpenSea for payment of an NFT, right? And am I correct? This was the first time that this was actually utilized to purchase an NFT.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great use case as a payment mechanism, right? So it's fortunate enough to have it integrated into OpenSea, like you said. And Skeeny, shout out to Skeeny, he purchased the first NFT with a social token. It was 10,000 Hue for just this like graphic design sort of poster that said "Become your own economy," right? And just put my logo at the bottom of that and listed it on OpenSea for 10,000 Hue, and he had it, and so he purchased it. And yeah, since then, I think a lot of people have been integrating their social tokens into OpenSea as well as other marketplaces like Rarible. Great use case for social tokens merging with NFTs. So dope.
Right. Obviously, we're here in the whale community, which is, built a lot upon that foundation. And, thanks to you for really experimenting and finding where that could happen and really add value to both the social token community and to these platforms, quite honestly, because it's another way to onboard people. And as we all know, that's one of the things that needs to happen for the scene to continue to evolve. Regarding the social token, so since then you've used it in some different ways and had some experimentation. What do you feel are some of the strengths of it as well as some of the challenges? Because I've seen you talk about both, and I'm just interested to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, some of the strengths I definitely think it's great for marketing for sure. It's also great for building loyalty, driving traffic, right? So one of the things about Roll is that they allow you to create these claim claim links essentially, where you can, anywhere you could put a link on the web, you can essentially make it monetized, essentially, where you could put a claim link anywhere and drive traffic to that particular site. So I think it's great for that. I think that's kind of underutilized currently. Some of the dangers I see, and something I wanted to stay away from when I created the token was not to necessarily put my likeness or my face or my name attached to the token, right? I kind of foresaw these tokens having a price, being on an exchange, being traded daily. And I think there's an emotional tie that comes along when you're creating a social token or a personal token, right? And it might be great. You might get a high, you might get the rush of your token price going up and people are buying and it's exciting. But that can quickly turn the opposite direction when people are selling off and it's crashing. And it can also have an equal emotional impact on you in a negative way, where you might be depressed or just feeling down on yourself because people are selling off your token. You don't know why, right? But so there's like this psychological, emotional sort of connection to these tokens that I think we have to be very, very careful with. Something like BitClout kind of comes to mind, where people are kind of raging about this new platform, but I kind of feel like you have to be careful, man. We could see like some of the emotional impact when I used the example of Instagram when they threatened to remove the like button initially, and there was like this outrage from Instagram users where, how dare you remove the like button, because they're so invested in that feedback. And I think when you start layering money on top of social networks in the form of social tokens, it could be a little dangerous.
Yeah, I found that super interesting, kind of delving into the emotional attachment to the monetary value and how that ties to the social interaction. I know that after the Roll hack had happened, I recall I was in the Roll Discord, as most of us were, looking for some information. And I think not long after that, when you released staking, something happened, but the price of Hue skyrocketed. And I don't know what the catalyst was exactly. And there was all kinds of people. It was like being on Telegram in a speculative investor room, right? They were going nuts. And then when it came down, they were going nuts as well. And the crazy thing is, half the people didn't know who you were. They were like, there's no reason for this. And then, people that were embedded in this community for a long time are like, do you not realize who this is and why this would be happening? He just released X, Y, and Z. So it was just so interesting, like you say, to see the impact of that emotional reaction as it relates to the price, and then sometimes how it was so divergent from what the actual purpose of the currency is for.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's all permissionless, right? So people can do what they want, essentially. And I don't even necessarily have an answer as to why it shot up. It shot up from like a penny, and then over a couple of days it ran all the way up to like, I think $1.80 or something like that. And then I think now is down back around 9 cents or something like that, which is a wild it's a wild swing. And so this is not something that I publicize or kind of harp on regarding price, right? Because I know the fluctuations, and sometimes there's no reason for some of what happens. So yeah.
Right. No, definitely crazy. So being that you're not that you're divested, but you don't put so much into the financial aspect of the price of Hue, the Roll hack didn't really have a significant impact on what you do or your community, did it?
No, you're right. It did not.
Okay, good to know. So moving on now to the NFTs specifically, right? So what was the first iteration of NFTs that you had created?
I think that was on the Wax blockchain back in 2018. But on Ethereum in 2019, what was I doing? I think I entered a contest for known origin. They just had like a crypto art contest, I guess, to onboard people. So I kind of entered that, and I won second place, which I got a prize of 1 ETH, I think it was back then. Then I started creating like these. I wanted to create a stamp collection, like the first stamp collection on the blockchain. So I think I was using a platform called Codex, and I was making little stamps as NFTs of just like little different things that I like. And what else? Known origin. I have like some cassette tapes from 2019 on there. I like the movie V for Vendetta and kind of what V stands for. So I have some V masks. What else do I have? Some floppy disks as some early works. Yeah, man, just a variety of like retro tech.
Very cool. And then what was it in January 2020? You did the collab with Marble Cards for the part of the artist series, right?
Yep. Yeah, that
Okay.
was cool. Mm-hmm.
And then,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say shout out to Marble Cards. I was just fortunate enough to design their 100,000th card, which was super dope, and that came out a week or two ago. So shout out to Marble Cards. Yeah, I love the idea behind the company and what they're doing. So I'm super bullish long term on that particular project.
Awesome. I'll have to check that. And then the following month, you helped Async launch with their first ever programmable piece of artwork, The First Supper, which has, you have your tape snake layer, along with kind of the who's who of crypto OGs, right? Hackatow, Coldy, Xcopy, a lot of money, all kinds of legends on there. And that is a super cool piece. Let me just throw this up here.
Yeah.
And you see the tape layer right there, which you still own, right? Is that correct?
Still own it. I do.
Okay. Very cool. And obviously that relationship continued to evolve to what you're doing now today. And speaking of this, because you're still holding this tape, I'd like to give everybody a listen to Still Holding.
Dope.
Yeah, it's digital. Perception. Yeah. Perception. Living my life and learning my lesson. Lonely days and lonely nights. Me, myself, my higher self, yeah. Man, I've been through it. Cannabis soothing. Accidents happen, that's none of my doing. Don't hold me down, hold me up. Don't hold me down, hold me up, yeah. Pray that I get it right sooner than later. Lonely days and lonely nights. Me, myself, my higher self, yeah. Man, I've been through it. Cannabis soothing. Accidents happen, that's none of my doing. Don't hold me down, hold me up. Don't hold me down, hold me up, yeah. Pray that I get it right sooner than later. Just another day and night to fight the good fight, to live the good life, yeah. Obstacle after obstacle, still it's possible, still unstoppable. Truth is optional, bioweapons are diabolical, irresponsible. Markets volatile, probably crash, phenomenal. Insiders making a whole lot of cash. Viruses made in the back of the lab, then they go spreading all over the map. Gloves, mask, skull cap, drugs, flash, blood, pepper. Run for president in 40 meters when the race in front upon you with 40 Glocks. Can't afford the ops or the operation, no confrontation, just 40 shots. Lonely days and lonely nights. Me, myself, my higher self, yeah. Man, I've been through it. Cannabis soothing. Accidents happen, that's none of my doing. Don't hold me down, hold me up. Don't hold me down, hold me up, yeah. Pray that I get it right sooner than later. Lonely days and lonely nights. Me, myself, my higher self, yeah. Man, I've been through it. Cannabis soothing. Accidents happen, that's none of my doing. Don't hold me down, hold me up. Don't hold me down, hold me up, yeah. Pray that I get it right sooner than later.
Dope.
Hey.
Have you gotten a lot of offers? Or, I'm sure people are interested in that layer, but I'm sure it's something that for the historic value you want to hang on to, right?
Oh yeah, Tape Snake. Yeah, man. Definitely gotten offers since it's been out for a year and maybe 2 months now. So I've gotten offers over the past 14 months, but it's one of those things where I'm just super honored and grateful to even be a part of that historic moment. I'm very, very bullish on async and the idea of programmable media, whether that's art or music or video. And so Tape Snake is very important to me. I actually have a music release with async coming up. So being able to create Tape Snake a year ago and then a year later being able to create programmable music on async is just, it's crazy to me. And so yeah, I'm holding on to Tape Snake until I don't know when, but it would have to be an offer I could not refuse. So
Right. And being, what this is as far as significance to the scene, I'm sure that you've gotten a lot of just DMs with offers and things beyond the scope of what's listed as offers, right? Because this is something that that you don't just move when a casual, offer that you throw up on one of the platforms. So done a lot of, so many cool things. You did the cryptograph charitable focused NFT drop. You've done just so many things that were really pioneering before a lot of other people were. So props to you for that. I wanted to talk to you real quick about the metaverse, and you touched on crypto voxels. You have the Danky Lounge, which is super dope. Can you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on that, like why you put it together and how you leverage it, and your thoughts on the space going forward? And just a quick caveat, I'm going to try to launch it. My computer may explode. If it does, just hang, entertain the crowd, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. So crypto voxels, the metaverse, Decentraland, virtual worlds in general, I think are definitely the future, right? I kind of look at my build here in crypto voxels, Danky Club, as an extension of my website, right? It's a new form of interactive browsing, essentially. Inside there, I can host music, I can host videos, I can show off my NFT collection. I could do all types of stuff in there, live stream, right? So as you see, you're walking up here and visitors can click on that hue icon and they can claim some hue for just visiting, which is really cool. And so as you see there, right, you can add links to all types of stuff, right? So, I mean, you could really gamify crypto voxels, Decentraland, all of these virtual worlds, and really make experiences that were not possible before. The fact that this is a virtual world running in the browser and it runs on a mobile phone completely fine as well is just like, it's mind blowing, right? So if you go in there, you'll see I have my CryptoKitty collection on the right wall. I also have a piece by a crypto artist by the name of Vaccine. He did the Jimi Hendrix piece there that I love. It's a 1 of 5. That's the first edition there. Also, I have some promo going on for my async music piece that I was just speaking about, Token Jukebox. All types of stuff going on. This animated GIF here is from an artist named Spherical Art, who I also was lucky enough to meet at NFT NYC last year. You'll see Tape Snake there, my CryptoPunk there. So yeah, I try to refresh this space every time I have something new going on. If you were here a couple weeks ago, I had staking in here, and now I have the Token Jukebox, as that particular drop is coming by the end of the month, I believe. So yeah, man, I just kind of look at this as another way to express myself, something that's more engaging and interactive. I look forward to hosting events and doing some fun stuff with the community inside the parcel. So
Yeah, super cool. I think from an interaction standpoint, as far as, fans wanting to, you know, take a bigger part in what you do and show support, but also just to rub shoulders, to like literally via a virtual format, but be able to be next to you. Like, I thought it was so cool. I actually popped in here one time prior to me getting a name, so it was just an anonymous, all white character floating around, but popped in here when you were in here doing something. I did the same to Coldie's show that he had, was it last week or the week before, right? I just thought that was dope to just be able to be there with everybody. So really cool to see. Like you said, you refresh this often, and you do a lot of work to curate this and make it really a cool experience for people to come in.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. Shout out to Mighty33, who is a composer. He's also in the NFT music space. He actually helped me design the look you see here. He did all the voxel furniture work. He did the lighting. He did all the furniture and fixing. So yeah, shout out to Mighty33.
Yeah, was that who was it, My World, that was saying he was on the couch, like, who made this couch? And then you told him who it was, and he was like, whoa, that was kind of his intro to get involved. So that's pretty dope. Definitely dope. I think this is an interesting thing when it comes to music, I guess art in general, right? Is this idea that your metaverse identity can be so divergent from your real world identity. Because when I think about the paradigm for art and sometimes music and things of that nature, it's like, there used to be questions or things that you would consider that just don't even seem relevant as a question anymore. Like, even when I asked you about the local scene, I think now, like, what does that matter? Right? Like, what is it? It almost seems silly to say like, hey, did you do local shows where do they know you in your city? It doesn't really matter anymore because it's just this global scale. Like, nor does like someone's age, because they could just be, whale shark, for example, right? Like, who knows what this guy is? He is that avatar. I don't care if he shows his face sometimes. He's going to be this cyber, you know what I mean? He's going to be this character to me no matter what. So I find this really intriguing that the art can go beyond what were some of the social constraints of the real world now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, global, 24/7 connected. Like, your audience is everywhere, right? But what's funny is, I know you know Allegria, and his avatar on Twitter is his CryptoPunk, and I swear that's him. Like, I've met him in real life. Shout out to him. But like, anybody who has a CryptoPunk as an avatar or an Avastar as an avatar, and then they change it, it's like, who are you? And like, it's it's hard to even know who you are at that point, right? It's so weird.
Yeah, definitely. It makes me I grabbed ugly kitty from Sabet, and I'm a little bit nervous. Like, everyone's going to think that's me if I don't change it back to my N logo here. So I may have to do that before I fall into the same trap. But we touched on, fan interactivity, which is one of the coolest things. I think that as far as musicians are concerned, I think that's one of the coolest things that the NFTs present, is this new way to have this interaction with the fan. Because quite honestly, with visual art, I think it has a little bit of a different threshold for what's needed to grow a fan base and grow a following versus music. What are your thoughts on what this allows for musicians and opportunities with the smart contract and the like?
It's a game changer, complete game changer, renaissance, revolution, all of that. I mean, like you said, the idea where you can have smart contracts that automate royalty payments, right? Even like with the crypto art, when people are getting 10% or 15% royalties on the back end on secondary sales, like, that was not a thing. Like, that happened in 2018, 2019, super rare. So just that alone, like, where you can have income in perpetuity just based off of your creativity that you tokenize today. And then you can even, right, use the smart contracts to funnel that money to your grandkids, right? So the opportunities are mind-blowing. I've seen some people are selling off publishing rights through NFTs. I don't really know about that. But there's just a lot of experimentation. And because things are so early and people are experimenting, I think that's where a lot of the excitement is. And we're going to discover things that we didn't know was even possible. Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, from an artist empowerment standpoint, it provides so many opportunities, and also, quite honestly, for the public that want to participate and take part, they can support and be a part of the actual art in so many different ways. So definitely very cool. I wanted to know your perspective on this. There's all kinds of genres coming forward with interest now, and that's in large part because they're seeing the dollar signs, or they're seeing the hype that's around it. It's in the media cycle. It's very prevalent right now. But it seemed the early adopters that were really experimenting with NFTs came from the EDM and the hip hop community. Why do you think that's the case?
That's a great question. Not sure. I can't really speak too much to EDM because it's not necessarily my lane. But I know from hip hop started in the dirt, in the mud, like with turntables and scratching and taking samples and mixing and just taking what you had to create something new. And that's kind of what's happening here. There's this new technology and we don't necessarily know everything, but we're just trying to figure it out. And I think that raw spirit of hip hop kind of matches the rawness of where we are with Web3 right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hip hop originated as counterculture, right? And in large part, this is trying to do something different and buck the trends, but also, like you said, be scrappy, take advantage of what you have around you and try to leverage it. So I think like the execution, we probably see a little bit differently from the hip hop community and from the EDM community, but I think the vibe and the reason that we're here are similar and the same.
Totally.
So that being said, what are your thoughts on where NFTs are in the music industry and just with musicians right now?
Well, I guess there's a couple of different ways to approach it. There are MP4 NFTs, which could be a variety of different things. It could be the cover art of a song with the track kind of like you played with Holding. It's just the cover art with a little animation and the song playing. Then there's, more detailed sort of maybe music videos as an MP4 NFT, right? You could do lyric videos. Like it's just really about the media. I personally haven't tokenized an MP3 yet, but that's possible as well, where you just tokenize the MP3 file and you also provide a cover art image for it. Something like async music, though, I think is really pushing the boundaries and experimenting with things that weren't possible, in the sense where you can have programmable music, right? Where you can own different stems or different layers to a track and unlock different versions, right? So for my particular piece, what you have here, Token Jukebox, shout out to you for throwing that up. That's perfect. What happened was I collaborated with Mighty 33 again on this particular piece, and there's a master track NFT, which is playing the current version of the song, and it displays the current version of the artwork, right? But then you can also own the beat layer or the vocal layer, right? And the owner of the beat layer can choose between 3 different beats, and the owner of the vocal layer can choose between 3 different vocals. So it creates 9 different variations where you can mix and match instrumentation and vocals and unlock different versions of a song, which is really, really fascinating. And it was really a little challenging, to be honest, to conceptualize and create this. You have to sort of play 3D chess in the sense where when you're recording your vocals, you have to deliver it in a way where it's going to fit harmoniously on every version of the instrumentation, right? So it's a different approach to writing and even recording vocals for programmable music, but super bullish on the platform and the idea itself.
Yeah, super exciting. I'd be interested to see. Can you actually shift verses where they are in the song? For example, put the third verse to the first, etc.
Possibly. I mean, not with mine, but I
Right.
think so what we did, myself and Mighty 33, we tried to take a very bare bones minimalist sort of approach, because it is so new and it's a first sort of iteration, that we didn't want to add too much complexity. I think what you're asking is possible, but yeah, I didn't explore that aspect.
No, yeah, no, just what you have is incredible. And I just know, from doing music myself, the challenge that there's the slightest nuance can make something so thrown off. And as a musician, I'm sure you hear it and you're like, nope, it can't happen. So I just couldn't imagine having that level of complexity. Even just what you have just kind of blows my mind. So I'm super hyped to check it out and see what you guys put together.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, it was fun. Love working with Mighty.
And then, we talked about where the music is, NFTs are in the music industry. How about in the greater macro sense? You see all these large players coming in and trying to do stuff. In some cases, it's welcome because they're pioneers that we're interested to see. In some cases, it seems like a little bit of a cash grab, right? Like someone in their management said, hey, you need to jump on this while it's hot. How do you feel about that happening?
Double-edged sword, in the sense that, I think it's good for their space, because these sort of celebrity or mainstream artists are bringing attention to the space. They're bringing more eyeballs, right? More headlines, things like that. Some of it does feel like a cash grab, though. Like, a lot of these people aren't a part of the community. They might not even have an interest in being a part of the community. And like you said, maybe their management, their agent, whoever saw an opportunity, and maybe they're trying to get paid, which is fine. Make your money. But I don't know if that lasts long term. Like, I really think you need a strategic approach, especially if you're a celebrity, when you enter this space, because these things are going to live forever, right? And I think you should be very thoughtful and patient in your approach to this space overall, or else you could rub people the wrong way, man. You know?
Yeah, especially if people are looking, there's some people that are just enthusiasts and they're looking at it from a speculative aspect, right? Like they want to buy something and be able to have value long term. And that's not necessarily the value proposition that these guys are coming to the table with. So I think, maybe it's just a maturity issue, right? We're at a point where there has to be some more delineation on what the purposes are and some more education on it. And I'm not trying to name names here, but there's some people that threw some stuff out and it was just basically a piece of art. There was actually no music attached to it. They didn't know who the artist was that created it. I mean, that's, it's a different experience, right? Than some of the stuff that, certainly the stuff that you do, but some of the other stuff that's going on. Now, granted, there are also people that are firmly embedded and reached out to, some of the people that are very active in the space and try to have an organic relationship, and it showed in the product. But, I'm with you. I think that it's good to bring the eyeballs. It's good to onboard people, although I'm not 100% sure that's happening, but we can get to that. I think it's good to try to grow the space in that way, but by the same token, we don't want people to feel burned or that it's inferior product that they're getting by participating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right too, because there is a bit of a learning curve, right? If you're trying to jump into Web3, getting a wallet, understanding your keys, understanding hosted versus custody, self-custody wallets, MetaMask, getting ETH if you're buying that way. I think a lot of the success Nifty Gateway has experienced is because of the credit card option, right? So that kind of lowers the barrier to entry. But yeah, man, I think people really just need the education on what they're getting involved in, and kind of just figure it out from there.
Yeah, and in that same kind of vein, NBA Top Shot does the same thing, right? People that are interested in the NBA, they can just hop on with their credit card. They don't know even that they're buying an NFT. They just think it's a digital representation of a collectible and it has value. And they made it in such a way that it's palatable for people that only knew that collectible experience, serial numbers, things of that nature. And so being able to make that a seamless onboarding has helped. We get a ton of people in our Discord that came from NBA Top Shot, and now they're investing. They're buying a Connie piece. They're buying a Coldie piece because they got into the world by that introduction.
Yeah, it's so cool. Super bullish on Dapper Labs, man. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Raham does a great job over there. But the music industry is hungry. I always say this story. I don't have time for Clubhouse, quite honestly. I'm just so busy between all the things I do. But I like to pop in and listen here and there. Mm-hmm. And I'll often do it when I'm driving because, instead of listening to, if I don't have a particular thing of music that I'm listening to, I'll pop that on, throw it on the car speaker. And I think I jumped into a room. It was like DJ K Slay, Q&A.
Drama King.
And within like seconds, they pulled me up as a speaker out of the crowd because it just says in my profile, whale blockchain beats or whatever, which I had to decline because I was grabbing takeout or whatever. But just shows you how on radar this is and how big of a deal it is for everyone. Wow.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool, actually. I have listened to a couple of rooms. I've never participated as a speaker or anything like that. I don't necessarily have the time for it either. I am excited for Twitter Spaces, though, which is like a competitor to Clubhouse. So,
yeah, I've been seeing, especially in the Top Shot community, a lot of cool stuff going on there with guys like the First Mint and some of those folks. But back to NFT scenes, music, things of that nature, where you are rightfully so a pioneer, and we credit you as such. But do you feel like you get properly credited for what you've done and continue to do in the scene? Because I've seen some things that have just made me question, when they try to talk about the historical precedent and when they talk about, the first music that's been minted and things of that nature, sometimes it's an omission. And I just wanted to know how you feel about that and what are your thoughts on that happening?
Yeah. So honestly, yeah, it bothered me in the beginning, being omitted from some of these conversations, some of these lists. uh, you know, very honored to even be in this space, and I'm happy for the community and the relationships that I've built. But the reality is that not everybody knows everything, um, and my personality is not the type to be like, "Hey, me, this is what I did," and kind of toot my own horn. It's just not really my energy. Thankfully, my community and my supporters kind of do that for me when necessary, and so I love them for that. But yeah, man. Um, when I'm left out of certain conversations that I should definitely be a part of. It bothered me in the beginning. I did see some of that starting to change. People do reach out in the DMs and give me my props and things like that, which I totally respect and I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, man, the people who know, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep uh, new shit coming, and eventually there you won't be able to omit me from any conversation.
When I reached out to you in DM, I kind of spearheaded this new series within the Whale FM series focusing on music, and hence it's called Blockchain Beats. And I think I said in my message to you, like, I have to have you on because of everything you've done in the space and being the true pioneer that you are, social tokens and of the music. So definitely props and credit for me and making sure that the Whale community knows that as well. But I've heard some other people talking, about this, and really, the scene, it goes at warp speed, right? Like you've been in it for years. It can seem like months are a span of years and everything that can happen, right? So we are still early, and I think people are still finding their footing. And I think, like you said, the tides are changing. People are wanting to know the historical precedent because they know that is valuable, both from a preserving and knowing our history standpoint. And even if they're speculative investors, right? Like I know, like I jumped right on, like, hey, can I get any of the first works, right? It was one of the things I could do looking for your stuff because I know. And as more and more people become educated, I think that you're going to get your rightful props, and they're going to give you the credit that you deserve, because certainly you deserve a ton, not just for the audio, but everything else you did to educate, to pioneer social tokens and things of that nature also.
Yeah, man, shout out to you. I appreciate you saying that. It definitely means a lot to me. Keeps me going, keeps me motivated. Like you said, it's still early days. There's so much more to come to do. Just being patient, and when the time is right, the time is right. So
definitely. And you know what? Some of these people could just be, here's the thing. We're in an emerging scene. It's growing right now. It's growing rapidly. People are getting asked to represent the scene that don't even have a lot of precedent in it, right? There's people that are going to be asked questions and give answers that may not have all the information just because it's, it's so new, or maybe they were so excited they omitted something, but I think people are going to make that up. I make the analogy to local hip hop. I remember there was a time when there was articles being written about things, and people would talk about the scene where I'm at. And I remember some of the real OGs, like from breakdancing with their boombox in the 80s days, getting heated. They were like, hey, you said X, Y, and Z, but this was not part of it. And it wasn't because of any ill will of anyone. They just literally hadn't known, or they didn't get their history right, or whatever. They were just excited. So I think you have a great attitude in that, hey, it is what it is. But I know it will come, because when people get a little too salty and they get crabby, that causes other issues, and you aren't about that, right? You are genuinely about the art and putting out dope shit, and it's reflected that way. So it comes across, and it really adds, in my opinion, a lot of value to what you do and what you bring to the table as an artist.
amazing. Yeah, you're right, man. Sometimes I have to bite my tongue because I'm thinking long term, but yeah, it's cool.
So when it comes to the NFT scene and audio NFTs or visual, just NFTs in general, do you think there's an issue with gatekeeping? Do you think that there are kingmakers, and that's kind of part of the challenge that's going on with it, or do you think it really is this open wild west where anyone could stake their claim and do well?
I think anyone can stake their claim and do well. At the same time, I think there are gatekeepers, but the reality is we don't need those gatekeepers, right? The reality is that the blockchain is the middleman. We don't need any more middlemen, right? What's happening is the gatekeepers are the middlemen, right? So some of these NFT marketplaces are curated, right? Some of them you have to apply for. Some of them you need an invitation for, right? Which is fine. It's their business. They run it how they want to run it. But the reality is anybody can create their own smart contract. Anybody can promote and market their own works the same way they do on Web2 through YouTube or Instagram or whatever, right? You can spin up your own smart contract. And so when artists start embracing that and just say, I don't need to be accepted onto your platform. Fuck your platform. Like, I'm going to create my own smart contract under my own brand, my own name, and I'm going to sell my own shit. And then you're going to come to me and you're going to want me on your platform, and I'll think about it. Right. So that's what I think.
Dope. I see that topic is bandied about sometimes. And, I know that having been there since the beginning and experimented with a lot of different things, you've seen both the strengths of the scene where it's at right now, as well as, some of the challenges. So it's great to hear your perspective on that. When it comes to audio NFTs, and we see a lot of musicians kind of struggling to find their footing and how to approach it. So I wanted to ask for your insight on some different aspects of it. But we alluded to this earlier when we talked about, the music industry in general trying to come in. Who do you think is the target demographic for audio NFTs? And I asked this with the context of, is it people that would traditionally consume the music that these musicians makes or that you would make? Is it what has traditionally been the NFT, visual art consumer that is now also saying, hey, I want to grab some music as well? Is it people looking to be more interactive as a fan? What is the target demographic for these audio NFTs?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. It depends on their brand and who their audience is, right? I don't think it's necessarily a blanket answer. Just the same way, you could be a musician, you build a following on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, right? So you have your fan base. Maybe you have some email addresses. Maybe you have a personal connection where you constantly tap in with your community every week or whatever it is, right? And now you just have an alternative or an extra way to monetize your creativity in the form of NFTs. So I think the audience is whoever your fan base is, and just giving them a new way to participate in their fandom by collecting some of your works. It could be an investment for them because they love your work and they believe in you so much, and there's a community, and they know that, if they get something early on, they potentially can benefit in the future by the more success you have. So I just think it really depends on the person and who your fans are to begin with, and then just leveraging the technology as a bonus or as an add-on. I think a lot of people might just kind of jump in because they want to make money and they're just tokenizing whatever. But I mean, if you don't have an audience, if you don't have a collector's base, well, I shouldn't say collector's base because you have to build that over time. But if you don't have a fan base, right, let's start there. Then, like, what are you doing?
Right. And you had the foresight to try to bridge that, right, with the launch of Hue, and a lot of people are not in that same position, so need to rethink their approach to the music as far as the reach goes, right? Because if you just want to create something and put it on the blockchain because you feel like that's, your artistic medium and you want to have it there, that's one thing, and you could be content and happy with it. But a lot of people I see are coming into some of these communities and asking, hey, I'm not getting a sale on the NFT that I minted, or what can I do to try to get some traction? Because like you talked about, the personification of monetary success, right? To them, like, no one bought it at this auction, so I don't have value as a musician. And there's a lot of other factors at play here, and bridging that gap, like you said, bringing their fans into this space is going to be key.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, how you do that is a challenge. Not everybody can launch a social token, and a lot of the musicians that I've interviewed have found that a lot of their fan base hasn't carried over. Like some people assume that it would naturally just people would be interested and just get onboarded with blockchain. But like we talked about, it's not an easy process for someone to go get conceptualize it, let alone do all of the steps, right? So, I don't know the answer, and it's for greater discussion, but that's something for people to have in perspective when approaching these audio NFTs.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's still early days. There's a lot of friction in the system. I don't think you can necessarily expect people to just kind of adopt it. It's going to take a little time. We have to get rid of these gas fees, specifically on Ethereum. The Flow blockchain has yet to kind of like blossom beyond Top Shot, where it's more user friendly, where you can get on there and create things and trade things with no fees, and it's fast and it's seamless. Like, it's still early, but you can start planting seeds with your community or your fan base and letting them know what your aspirations are. And you can teach them as you're doing it. That's kind of what I did. Like, I was figuring this shit out and I was teaching people to do what I was doing. And then they started doing it. And we kind of have this rapport now, and we're figuring it out together. So I think that's an approach people can take.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, there has to be some more thought put into expanding the reach for audio NFTs, because we're building that audience right now. I do think it's a little bit different than the people that would traditionally listen to your music. It's inclusive of them, but I think it reaches some different people.
Mhm.
And I say this with the context of, I'll pop into these clubhouse rooms, and it just seems like it's a very insular community to me. And what I mean by that is a bunch of people that have recently discovered NFTs and are excited about it, and they're feeling each other's creativity, and they're inspired to do stuff and to do work. They're in these rooms together. They'll drop a project and they'll say, "Hey, I minted XYZ," and the people that they're communicating this to are the other artists that are in the room. It reminds me of like those local shows where you'd go to and it would be just everyone else in the local scene in the audience, which is cool, right? We need to support each other. I understand that. But if you can't plant your flag on that and say this is going to grow and be sustainable. We're just cycling the same ETH around to each other, right? Like, so there has to be more thought on how to expand beyond that, or at least more effort and work put in. And obviously you have a social token, you've experimented, you've done a zillion things, but I think artists and musicians need to know you can't just mint something and post it up and expect it to go. I mean, it doesn't even work that way in real music, right? You can't just put up a song and people listen. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Artists supporting artists, nothing wrong with that, but that's not necessarily a sustainable model as far as like a fan base is concerned. But the other thing too is, right, the headlines are all these big sales numbers. So people kind of see that and they're like, hey, so-and-so made, I don't know, 40,000. I'm going to try it. I'm going to make 40,000. And it doesn't necessarily happen like that. And I think also too, some of these prices are outrageous. Honestly, I think some of this stuff is super overpriced. But not everybody has 40,000 to spend on an NFT, right? We have to also think about the people who are willing to just spend $10. People used to spend $10 on a CD. Like, I mean, not saying you sell one NFT for $10, but maybe you sell 100 for $10. Like, there's different strategies, different approaches. I think people just need to just kind of think about it more.
Yeah, definitely. And the funny thing is, we talk about $10 with the context being, wow, that's so much cheaper than this $40,000 NFT or whatever it was, 30 million for whomever, 3 million for Blau stuff and stuff like that. But people are apprehensive to spend $10 on a CD now, right? So streaming has commoditized music, and it's become kind of a different value proposition to consumers. So, there's a lot of opportunity to explore different ways to incentivize is basically what I'm saying. And the frustration that we're seeing from some musicians because they put stuff up and didn't get a response, I think it just warrants some more experimentation. And in that vein, what have you found to be some of the keys to successful implementations of audio NFTs specifically?
Yeah. Well, to date, I mean, I've sold, like I said, the cover art with like a visualization with the audio attached as a type of audio NFT. I've also done a lyric video as another type of audio NFT. I've done a short animation, which was just on the screen on Maker's Place there, as a one-of-one short animation with the audio attached. So that's another type of audio NFT. So I mean, I think again that the sky's the limit, right? So Ganga Loot, which is a collaboration song between myself, Mighty 33, Boombox Head, aka Godfrey Meyer, and Vandal from Dow Records, we created a virtual reality music video that we shot remotely that Godfrey put together, and that's potentially going to be tokenized as a music video, which is another form of an audio NFT. So there's a variety of ways you can approach this, all of which I think can be successful.
Do you find that one particular approach was more successful for you than others?
Yeah, only because I've sold more, and that would be like the static cover art with the little animation and the audio attached, like you see there with Holding or Brave New World, and that's because I've sold more of those. So
interesting. What are your feelings about the visualization tie-in? Is it absolutely necessary as far as getting in front of collectors? Like there's some different thoughts on this from the audio specific community, so I wanted to hear your take on it.
I think the visuals are super important. You know, the thing about it though is that not everybody is a visual artist. Just because you're a musician, right? 9 times out of 10 you're not a visual artist as well, so that might require you collaborating with somebody, or however you go about creating your cover art to begin with. But the visual representation is what is going to catch people's attention before they even hear anything, right? So I think that's very important, and a lot of thought and time should go into creating something that will be eye-catching and resonate, and you know, kind of reflects maybe what the song is about, that sort of vibe. But yeah, the visual aspect is paramount.
I agree 100%, and you even see the inverse now, right? A lot of people are making sure that they have some musical aspect to their visual NFTs and animation as well. So it's really becoming a multimedia experience that people are drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
How about the length of the music? What are your thoughts on the music itself? Should it be an entire song? Should it be just a portion that complements the visualization and then people can then download if they're interested? What do you think about that?
Yeah, a lot of different ways you can go, and I've experimented with a variety of that. So what you have on the screen here, like Brave New World, that's the full song. Then the cassette tape you see there is that just has a hook, and then the beat kind of rides out for like a minute. The short animation with the character driving down the street, that picks up in the first verse, goes into the hook, goes into the second verse. There's another one that just features the beat itself with no vocals. So I've kind of experimented on chopping up the song and kind of trying to get more life and longevity out of one song by making different versions. There's also, like, you know, the unlockable NFTs where you can add a full track, a full MP3 or WAV file in the NFT, and then the owner can unlock and download that, which I think is super fascinating. So there's a variety of ways you can approach this, and which is really, really exciting. Like just experimenting, man, and figuring out what works for you. But as far as length goes, personally, I like bite-sized content, so the shorter the better. Like if I could get 45 seconds to 90 seconds of just raw, whatever the music is, but just raw, like lyrics, or the beat is just banging for 45 to 90 seconds, like I'm good. Like beyond that, maybe, I don't know, but personally I like shorter content. So.
Dope insight. I think Harrison First also said the same thing, that he doesn't think it's the format for, you know, a full song, at least as far as presenting it to people. So I was interested to hear your take on it, especially coming from a hip hop perspective, because you have the vocals involved as well, right? Whereas a lot of you know, some of these other pieces just have the instrumentation and just the beats. So speaking, you know, continuing on, you know, some more nuanced stuff about the audio NFTs, do you think there's a different value proposition that people have for audio collectibles as NFTs versus the visual art? And what do you think drives that? And for example, like obviously OG visual artists have a certain value associated with their stuff. And, you know, you being one of the pioneers, if not the pioneer of audio NFTs, you do as well. But, you know, does the collector base understand that? Is there something divergent there?
Okay. I'm going to ask you if you could just reiterate and ask me the question again, because I kind of lost you there.
Yeah, it's my fault for rambling at this point, right? So, do you think people have a certain value associated with music that's different than they do for the visual art? Meaning, do they devalue music? Do they not think it's as collectible, as important as a piece, or are the artists trying to hold themselves to the old paradigm of music? I'm just trying to understand the pricing mechanisms that I see out there and what people are collecting for. And I don't know if it's the case, but I just thought it was an interesting thing.
I think maybe the inverse is true. Not taking anything away at all from just a visual piece, whether it's a static piece or an animated GIF or whatever. But when you add music to it, when you add, whether it's just instrumentation or an actual song with lyrics, when you add that extra layer, that extra component of creativity and expression to it, I would think that it would create a more valuable piece of art versus something that doesn't feature any sort of audio at all, right? It's just the idea that you put more time and more effort into creating a piece that features audio, because that's a different skill set and a different thing that has to happen separately that you match to the visual, versus just the visual. I'm not sure on a macro level how people view it, but for me, I just kind of assume that the more you put into something, the more valuable it would be.
Yeah, no, good perspective, and it'd be interesting to see, because it's almost like opposites a little bit. We're talking about making sure that we convey the value, and when we put it out there, and also as collectors, we understand the value, but also we want things to be approachable by people, and not put people that want to interact with you out of touch and not be able to. So it's one of those things that we're still experimenting on and working through to understand as we see this platforms and the audience evolve for it. But I do think there's some critical focus needed when it comes to NFTs in general and in art. Like you mentioned earlier when we were talking, about just artists supporting artists. By the same token, not everything is dope, right? Not everything is awesome. And so if we're always presenting like, hey, here is what's representation of the scene, this is what is the cream of the crop, we want to make sure we put yourself and people that can stand the litmus test and pull in people, because it's representation of the talent and inclusive of everything out there. Because there's a lot of, we talked about what insular support can do, right? So we just want to make sure we don't fall into that trapping.
Very true. Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on scarcity with audio NFTs?
One of one will always be more valuable in my eyes, because clearly it's the single edition. But again, like CDs, right, or MP3s where there's multiple editions, right? I think NFTs kind of can play off of that, where you do a release where although it's scarce in the fact that there's 100 of them, but that kind of goes back to like the first 100 CDs, maybe something like that. And then with the scarcity, you can play around with the price points, right? So the more there are, if there are 100, you can price that better, I guess, for more people than you could a one of one or a one of five or a one of 10, right? So the more that there are, the more people who can participate. As a collector, maybe people don't like that idea because that creates more supply. And so it depends on your approach. If you're looking to invest and flip the NFT, or if you're just collecting it to support the artist so that they have money in their pocket to keep creating and you just really love their work, versus if you're trying to make money off the artist flipping their NFTs. So there's a lot of different perspectives and mindsets that go into this. So as an example, like holding is an edition of 50, but the staking NFTs are all one of ones, right? And so I created the holding one as an edition of 50 because I wanted more people to be able to participate. It was my first one, and I wanted to get it in the wallets of as as many people as possible. There's some crazy thunder going on right now. Wow. Sorry. Yeah, so one of one always more valuable in my eyes, but experimenting is where the fun is.
Definitely. How about from a platform perspective? I know that you've created your own contract, and you understand some of the nuance of what's better for what you're trying to deliver. Do you have a platform preference and what you think is better for people that are interested in audio NFTs and executing stuff with that?
Um, I'm interested in Catalog, which is like the first music-focused NFT platform. Essentially, it's tokenizing MP3s, which also come along with cover art on the platform. Uh, I haven't minted anything on there yet, so I haven't gone through that experience of having like a firsthand sort of practitioner perspective of using Catalog, but I am interested in it. Besides that, I mean, a lot of the other platforms all offer MP3 and MP4 support. Really, man, I like the idea of being independent and having your own smart contract and doing things on your own. Like the stuff you're seeing here on Maker's Place, some of it's kind of a headache dealing with the team and the promo or lack thereof promo, things like that. So I don't know. I would say maybe Catalog is also is based on the Zora protocol. So anything on Catalog automatically goes on Zora. So that just might be a good place to go too.
Very cool. I know we get that question a lot from musicians that are coming in and looking to try to, establish themselves and do something. You touched on it earlier, but what are your thoughts on clarifying like usage and rights? I know some people are talking about trying to leverage royalties and things into perpetuity and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. I don't know, man. I'm not necessarily looking to experiment with selling off any copyrights or anything currently. I think it's interesting to see how that kind of plays out for the people who are looking to do something like that. I'm not sure. I think something where maybe you could do like a sharded NFT where a lot of people can maybe invest in the future success of a song. Something like that might be fascinating, but not on my near-term horizon. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I fall on that as well, but I have seen some people talk about that of sharding and trying to, see what kind of interest that draws and what it does for their fan base.
Mhm.
So just in general, if you had to leverage your experience and give some advice for other musicians of any genre looking to get involved in the NFT space, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to do their own research, right? We have that saying in the community, do your own research, and we have it for a reason, right? You want to understand the technology. You want to understand how it works. You want to understand how it works as a collector so you can kind of get a perspective from your fans' perspective and how they would engage and interact with even purchasing or bidding on some of your work. So definitely just take the time to learn, and then experiment, try things here and there. Don't try to just necessarily make as much money as you possibly can. Try to build a fan base, a collector's base, make some reasonable prices, things like that. Maybe put something up for auction if you don't know what to price it as, and let the market decide on what it is, right? But maybe start lower than but yeah, man, I would definitely say do your own research, ask questions, reach out to people. You can reach out to me. My DM on Twitter is open to anybody if you have questions, and maybe I can provide some guidance or advice or something like that. But yeah, research and question.
Wow, direct access is like the golden ticket for these musicians now. You got to be a little bit leery of the flood that's going to come from that. I wanted to ask you real quick. I saw a thread that you were in on Twitter, and some other people were talking specifically about representation in the space, whether it's by the media or curation or whatever. Do you think that there is an issue and it needs to be addressed, or is it just kind of nuanced because of the anonymity of the metaverse that we had alluded to?
Yeah, I think the anonymity plays a part in it. I think people of color, I think women have been marginalized throughout history. I think people are bringing some of that energy into this space based on some of their past personal experiences. I can't personally say if that is or is not going on. I've been left out of conversations. I don't know if it's because I'm black or what. I don't even necessarily think like that. Maybe it is. Maybe I can't think for people. I don't necessarily have those eyes myself. But I just think people need to do what they do, stay true to who they are, and continue to, just push forward. There's an audience, there's a fan base out there for you. You just have to find them and connect with them. And anybody else who doesn't like it, then that's on them. So.
Great. Just wanted to hear your thoughts, straight from you. And I think that, this interview is going to be must-see viewing for anyone that's looking to get involved and to understand, some of the genesis of the space of social tokens, of audio NFTs. And I think in time, definitely you'll get your due credit.
Appreciate that. Yeah, this has been fun, man. I really love this interview, and I'm happy to be on the show. Shout out to the whale community.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hearing a little echo here. Don't know what's going on, but I wanted to show some of the collaborations that you have in the work that were super dope. You had mentioned that you had the Boombox Heads collaboration that you had done, and if you don't mind, I'd love to show that video because it's really something different, and I think the audience would enjoy it.
Cool. Shout out to the whale community.
Boombox Head, yeah. Number one. Yeah.
But I wanted to.
Whoa.
Some of the
Yeah. Whoa.
You had mentioned.
Yeah. I get a whole gang of loot. Yeah. Split the thing with my crew. Yeah. Ain't a thing, it's all we do. Yeah, so get the money, get the loot, get the money, get the loot. I get a whole gang of loot. Yeah, split the thing with my crew. Yeah, ain't a thing, it's all we do. Yeah, so get the money, get the loot, get the money. Yeah, you're listening to my market, and I'm working on my target, and I never wore a cardigan. When I play the card again, shorty see what car I'm in. Gangaloo, taking off her Daisy Dukes. I got the ace and deuce, play the stew, paid the shoot, get the money when it's due. Call me when it's due. I spring up like when winter's through. I cross lines like winners do. Finish lines, I finish mines. I'm not like you, not like no time. It's showtime. Hit a gold mine, that's all we do. Whoa. Yeah. Digital. Whoa. Digital, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Get the money, get the loot. Get the money, get the loot.
Oh, shoot. Get that loot. Social money, get that cue. Bet that's you. Roll up with a boombox and eject your crew. Tape heads, get that cue.
This was so crazy that you guys put this together, especially in quarantine and whatnot.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Shout out to Godfrey, man, aka Boombox Head. Like he is the maestro behind what you're seeing here on the screen, putting that video together. I sat literally right here where I'm sitting, and I shot my part, and he put it on the green screen inside VR. However he does that shit, I don't know, but it came out dope, man. Shout out to him.
Right, and that sold out too as well, I think, right?
Yeah, it sold out.
Super. So if anyone wants to grab this now, it's at the aftermarket, and I'm sure this is going to continue to escalate in value because the whole thing, from the video to the song to the artwork, is a crazy presentation. So speaking of collaboration, speaking of projects, what is next for Connie Digital?
Yeah. Again, I have the async piece coming out. Should be the end of April, called Token Jukebox, one of the first ever programmable music NFTs in history. So be on the lookout for that. Oh, cool. You have it on screen there. Yeah, I wrote an article all about it, which is published on 137, which is one of Gary V's companies. Shout out to Gary V. Shout out to the crew over there at 137. Yeah, man, super excited about programmable music. I also know that I am supposed to be doing a podcast, a weekly show, likely in the Token Smart Discord with My World. Shout out to My World as a co-host. So look out for that sometime in May. And yeah, man, just grinding.
Dope. Who else are you feeling in the NFT space right now? Any shout outs you want to give? Anyone else you want to put us on to?
I hate leaving people out. So what I will say is shout out to the OG Alliance, all the OGs. Shout out to all of you guys, man. Really paving the way for a lot of what's going on. And we definitely deserve a lot of the credit for laying the foundation. So shout out to all the OGs. Shout out to the old school Scent fam. And somebody I'm super excited for who hasn't released any NFTs yet, but it's only a matter of time, is My World. So look out for him.
Yes, and he produced Staking with you, right? He
Absolutely.
did the beat. So funny story. Like, I was hyped because I got caught up in your marketing, as you mentioned in the last verse. But when that came out, I had to go check it in the car because I used to do. At one point in time, I did music myself, and that was my ghetto mixing process, right? I do whatever I could do on the computer. My evaluation of whether it sounded good or not is I had to get it in the car and ride around. And so I threw that in, and I'm like, this thing bangs. This is an incredible song. So that has been in heavy rotation. So when we say goodbye in just a couple minutes here, I'm going to take us out with that song. Where do you want people to follow you, to check you? Is it your Twitter and then follow through your link tree? Is there anything in particular you want to put us onto?
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Definitely follow me on Twitter. My handle is @Connie Digital. Pretty simple. I do have my Linktree link on there, but I would definitely encourage everyone to sign up for my newsletter. So it's conniedigital.com/join. And yeah, man, tap in with me. I try to put out a new newsletter once a week. And yeah, it's a good place to start.
Yeah, excellent. If both fans of yours, people that are interested in what's going on in the NFT and the music scene, and musicians obviously could really get schooled and get lots of knowledge from you. Connie, it has been an absolute pleasure. I've been honored to talk with you. Thank you for everything that you've done for the space, that you continue to do and pioneer. And thank you for the dope music and making sure I sound good when I'm whipping around the block. So I'm going to take everybody out on your Audius. Everyone, make sure you go over here to Connie's Audius and follow that as well. And we will take a listen to Staking. Connie, it's been a pleasure, my man.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. You see a man like me, man, I'm out of control. Won't do what I'm told, I'm doing the most. Back from the living, I'm killing them dead, leaving them red. The message, I got it, I heard what you said, but I don't care no more, nigga. Open the door, I won't knock no more, jigger. Open the door, bang. I'm here to do things, run it like Hussein Bolt. Killing the game, the only way to promote. You see a man like me, man, I'm out of control. Won't do what I'm told, I'm doing the most. I'm on the road in beast mode. I need dough. I bake it and break bread with you too. Invest in me like I invest in you. Yeah, I'm pulling up. I'm in the vestibule. Getting money round here, staking tokens. Yeah, it's sunny round here. Smoke is potent. And it's gully down here. I thought I told him. Don't act funny round here unless you hold it. Getting money round here, staking tokens. Yeah, it's sunny round here. Smoke is potent. And it's gully down here. I thought I told him. Don't act funny round here unless you hold it. Hey, big visions, big missions, I'm big business. Hey, let's get it. Meal tickets with big digits. Oh, listen, no jigger, no big pimpin'. Hey, ambition, much greater than opposition. Whoa, it's my world, digital, my world. Yeah, 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 word is bond, homie. I got the fire on me. Tell the truth, don't go lying on me. Yeah, word is bond, homie. I got the fire on me. Tell the truth, don't go lying on me, lying on me. Getting money round here, staking tokens. Yeah, it's sunny round here, smoke is potent. And it's gully down here, I thought I told him. Don't act funny round here unless you hold it. Getting money round here, staking tokens. Yeah, it's sunny round here, smoke is potent. And it's gully down here, I thought I told him. Don't act funny round here unless you hold it.